Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm the author of The Age of the Child.
Hi, I'm Isabel. I'm the founder and firebrand of the Uprising Spark.
Hi, I'm Lenora. I am the creator of The Bitchy Bookkeeper. And we are the founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls. So in this episode, we are going to be discussing parenting by circumstance, or as Kris likes to call it, childfree parenting. My take on this topic is, what does childfree actually mean? So for me, childfree is a relatively new term. It only came into my awareness probably, a little over a year ago. So over the course of the past year, as I've been writing about it, I've had a lot of different conversations with people about being child-free. And, if someone approaches me and says, oh, I'm child-free, and we discuss our lives, and then suddenly they bring up their stepkids. And this confuses me a lot. And it riles me up a little bit, because to me, being child-free means no kids. So that means no stepkids, past or present. That means no dead children. No foster kids. No desire to have no kids in planning in the future. Like no kids planned for the future. Simply no children. That's what it means to me. My gripe with the step-parent thing, being a child-free person but having stepkids in some capacity, whether it's legally enforced or they're living with you 2 days out of or 2 weeks out of the month, whatever, is this actually comes from a conversation that I had with a child-free person, an actual child-free person. We were discussing something like this, and they found out that they were talking to someone who also had kids, kind of secretively, stepkids. It took away. It didn't take away their power, but it took away from their experience. That's what it is. Claiming to be child-free and being a step-parent takes away from an actual child-free experience, because it says to society, or it says to others, that yes, one day we are all going to find ourselves in a situation where we have to be involved with raising children. But for those of us that are very secure and are very devoted to being child-free, meaning not raising kids of any kind, now or in the future, hearing someone else using the term child-free when it means maybe only for a weekend, that, so the grandparents have taken the kids, or, oh, well, my husband has kids from another marriage, and, they were with us for a time, and now my husband hates the kids, and, well, we're all child-free now. Like, to me, that really dilutes the experience, and it really takes away from those of us who are actually child-free, meaning we don't have kids now, we did not have kids 10 years ago, and we do not want kids 10 years from now. Like that, I am a little bit protective, I guess, of the term. I mean, I have no claim to no ownership of it, but it just, anything else takes away from, or feels like it's trying to take away from my experience. Like, no one can actually take anything away from my experience, but hearing people use those terms makes it feels wrong for me.
That kind of puts people in a position of feeling like they're joining a cult or signing a billion-year contract like Scientologists, because that supposes that nobody can change their minds. And I understand the frustration, because I understand that there is it is annoying when people think, or people see someone who claimed to be child-free having children. And it's like, oh, see, they changed their mind. You're going to do it too. Everybody wants kids. So when that happens, it is annoying. However, people do and are allowed to change their minds. There are people who believe wholeheartedly in God and who come to some kind of realization, and then they don't. Or there are people who have never believed in God, and then they suddenly decide, oh, you know what, I think I do. Because of this and this and this, and these all things just seem to make sense. And so I think to say that you cannot be child free unless you know that for your whole life you're never ever. I mean, you can know you're never going to change your mind, and that's one thing. Because you only know as much as you know. I mean, you know what I mean? But if someone knows at any age they don't want children, and then who knows what happens? Who knows why they change their minds? But they change their minds for some reason. I mean, isn't it really unfair to suggest that they feel the pressure? I mean, I think it's just as bad to pressure people to stay child free as it is to try to pressure people to have kids. You know,
that's true.
They're going to feel all like, oh no, I'm betraying all the child free people if I want this. But I really want it all of a sudden. No, you know.
I cannot argue with that at all. I'm not going to argue with that because that is a valid point. Do I say I'm sorry for putting that out there?
No, I mean, I totally get what you're saying because it is a frustrating thing. I get frustrated too. There were some people, I don't know who they were. It was a couple years ago. They were pretty known for being child-free bloggers, and then they had kids. And I was like, ugh. But mostly my ugh was how boring. I'm really sorry for that, but whenever I learn someone's having kids, I just feel so spiritually bored. That's terrible.
Me too. No, I agree 100%. Yeah, I do. It's common. It's my brother. Okay, has 2 kids. Like I've already said, he has the same reaction. He's more parenting by circumstance, and he's a full-time dad to 2 kids, single dad. And he's like, really? That's the best you guys can do with your life? Nobody invites him to baby showers or gender reveal parties anymore. He's like, why? But no, I that spiritually bored, I love that, and I totally feel that same way. It does not excite me. I mean, I support my friends that do have kids. I'm not going to talk people out of having children unless they want me to. But yeah, no, it's boring. Like, yeah, it bores me. I agree. I won't apologize for that either. It's just how I feel. But okay, so yes, I don't mean to make people sign a contract like you said you're child free and you're going to be. But I do think though, like if a part of you knows that maybe one day, you know, like child free mindset. I think I'm a very stubborn, not flexible person. Like I'm physically not flexible and. A lot of ways I'm like, okay, this is how it's done, this is how we're doing it. Rigid, I guess. So to me, if I'm saying I'm child free, that's it. Like I'm not gonna say anything else otherwise. So I guess I unconsciously or subconsciously, whatever the word is, think other people should be like that too. But you know, not everybody is, and that's okay. I'll be fine.
Well, when we were talking about this subject the first time, and we said, what is it? Parent by circumstance. The first thing that came to mind is what happens if you inherit children? And in my example, it's like I'm child free, but I have a sister. She's not child free. She doesn't have any kids, but she might have kids later in life. And then what happens if my sister and her husband or boyfriend or the dad of the kids, whatever you want to call them, they pass away on an accident, God forbid, but that happens. And then they leave their kids behind. So would I take them for myself, or would I put them in the foster care system, or would I give them to somebody? You know what I mean? That for me, the whole child free by, what is it? No, parent by circumstance, or child free parent. When I thought of that, I was like, that would just go against everything that I believe in, you know, in the sense that I would give up my child-free status to raise my sister's kids because I love her. I only would do it for her. But it's a little bit scary, to be honest. Like, sister, please don't die, okay? just stay with me because it's scary. For me, it's scary. I would do it out of the love that I have for her. Definitely not the most ideal situation.
You know, because I have a brother, I've got 2 nephews who I love being an aunt, and I'm a big believer in having wills and stuff like that, and I have one for myself, and I have specifically talked to my brother and my best friend, who both have children, to not name me as guardian of their children. I do not want that. I will be in a child's life. I can offer financial assistance, all that sort of thing, but I do not want the title of legal guardianship over a child.
What if there were no option? What if something happened? You cannot possibly. You couldn't. Could you say that you would rather, if there were no other way, they're either going to be with you or they're going to go into some really cruddy foster care system?
If they could be with me without me having the title or paperwork saying legal guardianship, sure. But the thing, I mean, here's the thing.
That's a technicality.
I know. Okay. Realistically, no. The thing is I am not a caregiver. I was not designed to be a caregiver, and I know that. And I know that there are other options aside from foster care for my particular circumstance, like with my nephews and such. I would make everything else happen and ride it out until they're 18. It's just the caregiver role, the parenting. I mean, that sounds harsh, I know, but realistically speaking, it's not a role that I am suited for. You know, I am great with mentoring and being a friend to children. And I know that I could not live up to my greatest potential in life if I were a legal guardian of a child. Not because I hate them, I like kids, I'm all for them, but that role, you know, I'm adaptable, but that role would severely limit me and what I came to do with my life. I know that. So, you know, I don't worry about that happening. Just, I mean, I feel pretty confident with my connection with the universe, like, I'm here to do certain things in life, and child rearing and guardianship over a child is not one of those things. So I believe there would be other options available for that. My biggest thing is I want to be that friend, that some sort of inspiration to a child more so than a parent or a guardian of a child. That there's nothing about it that speaks to me. Okay, so back to the child-free mindset. When someone says they're child-free, and then later, but still is kind of like blasé about their birth control and their partners, and then winds up pregnant later on, and they said, oh, well, you know, I used to be like you, and then I had a kid. To me, that is also not child-free, because to me, in my mind, I am child-free. I am in control of who my partners are and my birth control. And I mean, luckily I live in Canada, so we have access to a lot of things for free. So to me, it's very much part of my mindset is being child-free. But if someone just says they're child-free and then is, you know, doesn't, just kind of plays Russian roulette and winds up pregnant, I don't think they ever were child-free. Not really. So maybe that feeds into the whole mindset of it as well. From that angle.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with the child-free mindset as well. I don't think if what I just described, my sister, if that were to happen, I would still be this kid's aunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't technically be like a mother, but yes, I mean, yes and no. I would be the aunt, but I would still have to take care of them as a parent.
Yeah. So could you call yourself child-free?
That's the thing. I don't think so. No, yeah. I don't think so.
No.
Even though I would still have the mindset of, I didn't want any kids for myself, and then this happened, and I'm doing this out of the love that I have for my sister because she's like the most important person in my life. I'll just have to bite the bullet, basically. But that's the only situation in which I would see myself taking care of another human being. Seriously. The only one.
We just had to throw kids at Isabel.
I think the one thing that would really bother me to see myself in that situation in which I'm, raising my sister's children, is that I would not be able to have that freedom that I enjoy so much right now. That's the thing that I would be like, can't wait for these kids to go out, go to college or wherever, so I can just take, continue down the path that I was coming from, because I love my freedom. I love my time. I love to do whatever I want to do with my time, and sleep until late, and all the things that we Childfree people really relish on. I love all of that, and that would be the only thing that I would be like, okay. But I would still do it.
I still don't feel bad about not being as noble as you, because I think because I know that I would be in the child's life, I would not abandon anybody. It's just what I am willing to accept and what I feel called to accept. Like it's that's important to me. I early on in my life have made the decision that my needs, my dreams, whatever I'm called to do, I'm the only person that will ever put that first. And it's my responsibility to put that first. And I take it very seriously because I've seen what happens when people don't do that. And it's not talking about being selfish per se. It's just you have to make yourself a priority because no one ever will, not even your own children. So, yeah. So, I take myself seriously that way, that my life does matter. My life is only really going to matter to me. And so I'm very passionate about that. I feel very strongly.
I don't think it's necessarily a question of nobility. I mean, it's not like anyone is suggesting there's no need to defend yourself. And I know you know that, but you said something about, I'm not as noble as you are. But I think the difference is that you did say that if those kids had nowhere else to go, you'd probably do it. But you know that they have somewhere else to go. I mean, it's not like you are completely. It's not like you're saying you'll completely cast them aside and send them into some hellish experience before you would ever, sacrifice your own goals or ambitions.
Mm-hmm.
You just know that there's somewhere else they can go. There's somewhere who can take care of them, and I would be the same way. If my sister had kids and I knew there were somewhere else that they could go, and she would want them to go somewhere else too because she knows I don't want kids. The only way I would take them is, I think in this case, as is with Isabel, is if there were absolutely no other way that I would feel confident they'd be raised well and that I wouldn't still have connection with them. So it's not, I don't think it's a question of nobility as much as this is probably something we would all only do if absolutely there were no other option.
Yeah.
I second that.
I also think of Childfree as a state of mind. In The Age of the Child, my character Catherine is absolutely 100% child-free, does not want a child ever, ever, ever. This is something she and her husband agreed on. But birth control laws being what they are, and the rhythm method being sloppy as it is, she gets pregnant, and she is unable to not be pregnant. And then after she has it, adoption is a very big problem. And her husband is a problem. It's a big mess. And so what was interesting about writing her is that I wanted her to stay child-free in her soul. Because a lot of people have this misconception that if child-free people just have a baby, if we just experience our own baby, we will come around and we will just embrace parenthood and we'll love that little baby and everything will be kittens and rainbow farts. But I don't think that's true. There are a lot of people who are writing now about how much they regret being parents, which is unfortunate for everyone involved. But I just really wanted to put that pretty little myth to rest and say that no, not everybody does come around to wanting kids just because they birth one. And so her whole storyline is trying to avoid parenthood while being kind of stuck with this child that she just never wanted. So I would still consider her child-free, and she was in a situation where she was kind of forced to be a mother. And there are lots of other people who, like if I were raped, let's say I didn't believe in abortion for myself, pro-choice, whatever, but let's say I would never have an abortion, and let's say I get raped and I get pregnant. Never wanted kids, couldn't afford an operation or something, or I wasn't taking birth control because maybe I'm just not having sex. If I get raped and impregnated against my will, and I'm against abortion, and I end up having this child, and I never wanted it, I don't know, I mean, that is if not child-free parent, that's definitely parent by circumstance. And I'm sure there are lots of other mild parents by circumstance situations where it's just an oops and okay, I guess I have to do this now. But I think it probably happens a lot. And I think there are probably a lot of people who didn't give it a lot of thought or weren't very careful, and they now find themselves in this lifelong like this path that's only going one way.
I will agree, I guess, with the child-free mindset. That is interesting. And well, I'm such a literal person. So when a person says child-free, I expect them to be child-free. Okay, I had an interesting conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who is technically a father because he fathered a child when he was a teenager. Never met the child. Has never met the child. There's been no contact of any kind. Doesn't know where the child is. And I asked him, I said, so what do you consider yourself? Like, are you childless? Are you child-free? Where do you fall? He's like, yes, I'm a father, but I'm childless because he knows nothing about the child. He just knows that there is a kid out there somewhere that is got his DNA. And he wouldn't consider himself child-free. And he's kind of on the fence about continuing to having kids in the future. So he's more like childless by circumstance, even though he technically has a kid. So I'm wondering, what do you guys think about that title? I know we're talking about childless now, but in a situation like that,
He has a child.
He does have a child, yes. But he doesn't consider, okay, because he doesn't consider himself a father.
Well, if someone who has kids through a step situation or through somebody dying, if they don't get to be called child-free, then someone who has contributed biologically to the birth of a child does also not get to call themselves child-free or child. He has a child. Okay.
Yeah, no, and that's totally fair. Something else just occurred to me. Sperm donor.
I was thinking about the
how does okay, so let's just hypothetical dating situation, because I mean I don't really date, but so of course I don't want to be involved with anyone that has kids. But let's say or on the other side too, someone who's donated their eggs. Does that count as well? Yeah. Okay, let's just stick. Okay, because I mean, I women occasionally, so I mean, there's two. Okay, let's talk about the guy thing. So the guy is a sperm donor. Turns out he has. I think this was an actual thing on The Bachelor or something once. Has like 100 children that are technically he's contributed to. Does that count?
I'm going to say no. My vote is no.
My vote is no. Yeah.
So he's still child free.
If he doesn't have any kids and he doesn't want to have kids of his own, then yeah.
Even though he's donated sperm and has like a whole bunch of kids somewhere else out there. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'd have to agree that that's also child free because you're not raising them.
In that case, your friend would be child free.
Right, because he contributed DNA to a child, but has nothing. The only thing with it here's also with the mindset though, because it bothers him. It bothers him that he does not have a relationship with the child. Therefore, to me, that's not child-free, really, because you're thinking about a kid that's actually yours. Yeah. And I've been in that situation with somebody where they're thinking about, a similar situation, and that affected my relationship with that person in a actual dating relationship. Because they had, it was similar circumstance. And so that, for me, isn't child-free because you're still thinking, oh, maybe one day I want to have a relationship with that child. So, when we're talking about mindset.
I would say it's different, though, because your friend had sex with someone. Mm-hmm. It was consensual. And we're adults. So everything that we do, we have to be, there's whatever we're responsible for doing, then there's consequences and we have to assume them, right? But the guys who go to a sperm bank to donate sperm, it's different because usually they do it for money. They're paying their studies with that. They do it, I don't know, narcissism? Yeah. I have no idea. They're not really thinking about taking anything out of that, like
Yes.
Other than the money or whatever, it's not like they're in a relationship with somebody else. It's not that big. It's a whole different world to me. So
it is. No,
whole
okay.
different category. Yeah.
I get that. Okay. Well, that is it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully you found this entertaining. Be sure to check us out on our social media. We have our email at, what is our email? We have our email, childfreegirls@gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, of course, our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe below. And until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye. Well, I was going to do that, but like, no, wait, we already have that.
Yeah, we already have that.
Oh my god, okay. Something will work out of that. Luckily, Isabel's awesome editing skills. Jeez. I don't know why I wasn't prepared to do the ending. I totally would have, I didn't even think about that.
Kris is dying.
Why? This is why I didn't want to moderate. I mean, right away, because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what's going on.
And out the smiles at the end. That was hilarious.
What? Which one? The last one?
Yeah, we did.
What?
We're all just sitting there.
I don't know why I'm laughing, but I'm laughing.
You're sitting there smiling, and then I smiled. So I don't know what to do. And then Isabel's like,
Oh God, okay, well.